Mitchell's YouTube channel. Let's get into it, man. Like the Spirit Study Bible, let's get into chapter number 12 of Isaiah, 13, 14, and 15, and get into um, the Rickey Henderson book, chapter 12. Let's get into it, man. Chapter 12, verse 1 through 6. Let's get into it. In that day you will say, I will praise you, O Lord, although you were angry with me. Your anger has turned away, and you have comforted me. Surely God is my salvation. I will trust and not be afraid. The Lord is my strength and my song. He has become my salvation. With joy, you will draw water from the wells of salvation. And that day you will say, give thanks to the Lord, call on his name, make known among the nations what he has done, and proclaim that his name is exalted. Sing to the Lord, for he has done. Though his things, let this be known to all the world. Shout aloud, sing for joy, people of Zion. For great is the Holy One of Israel among you. In that day, God's people will praise him when the universal reign of the Messiah begins. Even now, we must pray for, anticipate in faith, and hope our Lord's return, the establishment of his eternal reign and righteousness when that day comes. You will sing this song of praise. Chapter 13, verse 1, it reads, an oracle concerning Babylon that Isaiah son of Amoz saw. Babylon. Isaiah prophesies that Babylon would be overthrown like Sodom and Gomorrah. Babylon was a center of pagan culture, opposing God and his ways from very early in human history. Ironically, it served as God's instrument of wrath against Jerusalem, taking its residents into captivity. In the New Testament, Babylon symbolizes the world's religious and political center in opposition to God and his people. Babylon's ruins are in modern-day Iraq. Verse 4. Listen to noise on the mountains like that of a great multitude. Listen an uproar among the kingdoms like nations massing together. The Lord Almighty is mustering an army for war. The fulfillment of the prophecy about Babylon's fall went through various stages. The first was the Assyrian attack on Babylon in 689 BC. Sennacherib overthrew it. After it rose to power again under Nebuchadnezzar, Babylon was captured in 539 BC by Cyrus of the Medo-Persian Empire. In 518 BC, the city was ravaged again. Its walls were torn down and it fell into ruin. Verse 6 to 13. Well, for the day of the Lord is near. It will come like destruction from the Almighty. Because of this, all hands will go limp. Every man's heart will melt. Terror will seize them. Pain and anguish will grip them. They will writhe like a woman in labor. They will look aghast at each other, their faces aflame. See, the day of the Lord is coming, a cruel day with wrath and fierce anger, to make the land desolate and destroy the sinners within it. The stars of heaven and the constellations will not show their light. The rising sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. I will punish the world for its evil, the wicked for their sins. I will put an end to the arrogance of the haughty. I will humble the pride of the ruthless. I will make man scarcer than pure gold, more rare than the gold of Alper. Therefore I will make the heavens tremble, and the earth will shake from its place at the wrath of the Lord Almighty in the day of his burning anger. The day of the Lord is near. The destruction of Babylon is a type of the end time destruction of all God's enemies and the final judgment to come all the earth during the period of the tribulation. Isaiah puts them both together here. verse 20. She will never be inhabited. Live in through all generations. No Arab will pitch his tent there. No shepherd will rest his flocks there. She will never be inhabited. The verbs in verse 20 are active, not passive. It will not be inhabited forever. It will not continue from generation to generation. This statement connects with the last part of verse 22, emphasizing that the destruction of the city of Babylon is soon to come. The unexpected total destruction of Babylon occurred in 689 BC. The city was later rebuilt by Rashad. Isaiah is emphasizing that no monument to human glory and achievement has any permanence in itself. One day all things made by humans will rust and fade away, while God's glory will fill the earth. Chapter 14, verse 4 to 21. 12 to 15, 24 to 27, and 29. Let's get into it. You will take up this taunt against the king of Babylon. How the oppressor has come to an end. His fury has ended. Fury is ended. The Lord has broken the rod of the wicked, the scepter of the rulers, which is anger struck down peoples with unceasing blows, and fury subdues nations with relentless aggression. All the lands are at rest and at peace. They break into singing. Even the pine trees and the cedars of Lebanon exult over you and say, now that you have been laid low, the woodsman comes to cut us down. The grave below is all astir to meet you at your coming. It rises the spirits of the departed to greet you, all those who were leaves in the world. It makes them rise from their thrones. All those who were kings over the nations, they will all respond. They will say to you, you also have become weak, as we are. You have become like us. All your pomp has been brought down to the grave, along with the noise of your harps. Maggots are spread out beneath you, and worms cover you. How you have fallen from heaven, O morning star, son of the dawn. You have been cast down to the earth, you who once laid low the nations. You said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit enthroned on a mount of assembly, on the utmost heights of the secret mountain. I will ascend above the tops of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High, but you are brought down to the grave, to the depths of the pit. Those who see you stare at you. They ponder your fate. Is this the man who shook the earth and made kingdoms tremble? The man who made the world a desert, who overthrew its cities, and would not let his captives go home? All the kings of the nations lie in state, each in his own tomb. But you are cast out of your tomb like a rejected branch. Your comfort covered with the slain, with those pierced by the sword, those who descend to the stones of the pit. Like a corpse trampled underfoot, you will not join them in burial. For you have destroyed your land and killed your people. Offspring of the wicked will never be mentioned again. Prepare a place to slaughter his sons for the sins of their forefathers. They are not to rise to inherit the land and cover this earth with their cities. Right, let's get into the breakdown of verse 4 to 21. Taunt against the king of Babylon. That means that this taunting prophetic hymn was to be sung by those who saw the downfall of the king of Babylon. The king will be laid low and brought down to the grave. These verses ultimately apply to all rulers and people who defy God and oppose the principles of his kingdom. O morning star. That means some commentators believe that these verses not only refer to the king of Babylon, but also contain a veiled reference to Satan. Others think they may refer to the end time Antichrist who will rule over Babylon in opposition to God and his people. Verse 24 to 27. The Lord Almighty has sworn, surely as I have planned, so it will be, as I have purposed, so it will stand. I will crush the Assyrian in my land, on my mountains, I will trample him down. His yoke will be taken from my people, and his burden removed from their shoulders. This is the plan determined for the whole world. It's the hand stretched out over all nations. For the Lord Almighty has purpose, and who can thwart him? His hand is stretched out, and who can turn it back? And crush the Assyrian. This prophecy concerns Judah's immediate threat from Assyria. God will crush the Assyrian army. Verse 29 says, do not rejoice, all Philistines, that the rod that struck you is broken. From the root of that snake will spring up a viper. Its fruit will be a darting venomous serpent. Right, let's get into it. Philistines. Isaiah prophesies the defeat of Philistia. Judah should not accept the offer of the envoys of Philistia for an alliance, but must trust in the Lord instead. Chapter 15, verse 1, and chapter 15, verse 5. And it reads, Moab. An oracle concerning Moab is ruined, destroyed in the night. Ker in Moab is ruined, destroyed in the night. Located immediately east of the Dead Sea, Moab had always been an enemy of Israel. Like the other hostile nations, they too would be destroyed. And verse 5 says, my heart cries out over Moab. Her fugitive flee as far as Zor, as far as Englath, Shilishia. They go up the way to Unuhith, weeping as they go, on the road to Haran. They lament their destruction. My heart cries out over Moab. God's own heart cried out in compassion for the Moabite. The victim in their terrible suffering. Isaiah felt the same compassion. In like manner, we should feel compassion and pity for those who destroy by pursuing sin and evil. Alright, so that's it. I'll be in chapter 16, 17, 18, 19 tomorrow. I wasn't expected to be on tonight for the live feed. But it's great to be doing the live feed on a Wednesday. So that'll be it for that. 16, 17, 18, 19 will be tomorrow. And then that'll be it. So now let's get into Rickey Henderson book. I've been reading this book for a long time. I'm in chapter 12. Let's see how many chapters I got left. Not that many left. I got 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So I got like 6 more chapters to go. Got 6 more chapters and then that'll be it. Let's get into chapter 12 of Rickey Henderson, The Life and Legend of an American Original. Now this chapter talks about how Rickey got traded. Now he's Oakland A's back to the team that he started with in his career. Things wasn't so successful with the Yankees as far as winning championships. He never got that championship. Even though he played well, he had his time, his moments, but he never won a championship despite all the success that he had as a offensive player. He didn't win any championships. So now he goes back to Oakland A's. So the A's were playing the Tigers at the Coliseum the night the trade was announced. Rick was back. So one fan, 17-year-old Chris Sauceda, was in the stands watching batting practice with his father, Carl. The joint was crackling with electricity, the way places do when big news breaks. With snippets of info making heads toward her eavesdropper's paradise. You hear, we got Rickey. The stadium was absolutely buzzing. You could hear a piece of the news everywhere because people were listening to the pregame on their radios. They got Rickey. The A's were already at power-ups. They were rolling at the time. And now they were adding Rickey. Things were about to get crazy. As singular as Rickey had always been, sure of his abilities, with the numbers and the memories to prove it, you could say Rickey and the A's needed each other. Rickey had something to prove. New York had made him a ton of money, but sports were full of rich guys who put up huge numbers and didn't win. While the rest of the baseball world had been caught up in the Rickey drama, whether or not he returned from injury fast enough, or whether he styled a home run or fended the long dead ghost of the game, Rickey was focused on winning the championship. And Rickey focused on a singular goal, on something he craved, was the most dangerous kind. And individually, he understood that the greatest players held the greatest records, but he also knew that the best players played for championships, and he had never played for one. So greatness was never measured from last place. His time in New York served him when he put up the big numbers, the monster numbers. Then undermined him when the Yankees never played in October, where the legends were supposedly made. So in the Bay, New York had stuck to Rickey, but so too had his time with the A's. Bruce Jenkins of the San Francisco Chronicle said that the move could end with the A's printing World Series tickets, but he also believed that Rickey's reputation was not unfounded either. New York had said that Rickey was electric. New York said he was captivating. New York said he was gifted, but New York never said he was a winner. If anything, without using the word outright, New York was doing everything it could to suggest he was a losing player. At 30 years old, maybe Rickey was destined to join the list of guys who just weren't there when the lights came on, or worse, who were playing despite all the stats as the reason their teams never popped the corks. Rickey saw firsthand what Steinbrenner did to Winfield, saddling him with that Mr. May rap that lasted his entire decade in New York. Rickey's rap was so damaged that both the local papers in San Francisco and the national mood suggest that the A's had taken on unnecessary risk because they traded a couple guys in the bullpen. When he returned to Oakland began looking possible, Rickey called Dave Stewart, his childhood friend from Little League. Stewart told Rickey he needed to come home. The legends of Oakland would be reunited. Use your no trade clause for anywhere else. Stewart told him, but not against Oakland. That was where he needed to be. Rickey Stewart told him was the missing piece. The A's that Rickey returned to embodied the spirit of Dave Stewart. On May 9th, 1960, he had been facing the abyss, 30-35 lifetime record. No one exactly knocking on his door. He was 29, had been released by the Phillies after throwing just 16 2/3 innings over 2 seasons. Dave Stewart had been drafted by the Dodgers in 1975, made his big league debut in 1978. In that first game, he struck out a batter in 2 innings against the Padres. They then got sent down, didn't reach the big leagues until 1981. Stewart won the World Series with the Dodgers that year, but he never came together for him. He wasn't Rickey, the immediate star. When Tony Russo, the A's manager, called Dave Stewart, was fighting for his professional life. Stewart worked out for West Stock and Dave Duncan. He was signed to 2 weeks after being released by the Phillies. June 1st at the Coliseum. Against the Yankees, Rickey doubled and stole a base off of him. The A's were in Boston, and LaRussa called Stewart's room a month later on July 6th. You're starting tomorrow's game against the Red Sox. At Fenway Park against Rogers Clemens. Clemens would win the Cy Young Award and the MVP that year, had already set a record by striking out 20 Mariners early in the season. He was 21 on 12 on 1 on the season and would finish 24-4. By October, Clemens would pitch the Red Sox to the World Series, but Roger Clemens was in his career the night they faced each other. In the middle of a legendary season was the exact opposite where Dave Stewart was in his. In front of a nationally televised audience back when ABC's Monday Night Baseball was a thing, Stewart beat Clemens 6-4. It was one of only 4 losses Clemens would take on the season. From that night, the legend of Dave Stewart was born. He would win 20 games next season. And the season after that, going on to 4 straight 20-win season in all. Stewart accepted the responsibility of an ace pitcher. He not only won 20 games in 4 consecutive years, but led the AL American League in starts in 4 straight years, in innings complete games twice, and wins and shutouts once. His job was to win games and to pitch innings, not just to pitch deep in the game, but to complete it. No one in the game focused Dave Stewart like Roger Clemens. He faced Clemens with the underdog's fury, the intensity of a man with a grievance, as if Clemens symbolized an entire industry whose attention Stewart needs to claim, whom he needs to tell what's wrong about him. It did not matter that Clemens did not view Stewart as a rival in their first meeting. Going against Clemens was not only personal for Stewart, it was also a way to send a message to the Red Sox that when their best pitcher faced him, the best pitcher on the field would not be wearing a Red Sox uniform. Let's skip around a little bit. On this book, we're talking about Jose Canseco, how he was a Ruthian showman. He hit Titanic home runs, one kiss to the fans who serenaded him by attributing his massive power and speed to the use of anabolic steroids. Spoiler alert, it was, but there were problems with him from the start. The A's knew he was talented but immature. Alderson had signed both Don Bell and Parker to have veterans in the clubhouse, modeling the professionalism that big leaguers needed. But the A's saw Canseco as the future. Yet for everything the A's had, pitching, defense, relief pitching, and intimidation, bushels of power, they didn't have an explosive leadoff man. Stan Javier was a nice player, solid, knew the game. Legacy kid, his dad played in the big leagues, even won a couple of World Series titles with Bob Gibson's Cardinals in the 1960s. Tony Phillips, who played with Rickey during his first tour in Oakland, was an invaluable utility man who could play 6 positions, and the speedy Polonia was well ahead in the jab. The East A's were the kick, blank, and laugh at you kind of winners, the best bullies in the game. They took turns crushing moonshots during bag patches for the single purpose of scaring the blank out of the other dugout. Early adopters of the advantages of weightlifting, the A's used to win against games psychologically before the first pitch was even thrown. During home games, the players would record their bench press statistics on a whiteboard in the white room. They would pump up the numbers, especially their top totals by 50 or 75 pounds, each to increase the intimidation quotient. They took to the AL 1988 American League flag 104 wins, peacock all summer. as if they were unbeatable and didn't win. And the World Series, the A's got the blank handed to them by a scrappy, tough Dodgers team. Canseco and McGuire 2 for 36 between them in the 5 games. Game 1, the famous Kirk Gibson game. Urqusley hadn't, Dennis Urqusley, that is, hadn't walked the batter since August, but he walked Mike Davis. Former A's outfielder Mike Davis, which set up Gibson's famous home run. The A's hit 177 in 5 games. The Willie got punched in the face in game 1. And after that, those all Hershiser, well, they didn't want to fight anymore. So Rickey returned to Oakland on June 22nd against the Blue Jays and embarked on one of the great 2-year periods of dominance in the history of the sport. In the 13th-inning loss to Toronto, he briefly wore number 22 before switching to number 24, which he would have worn in Miami with the Yankees. Rickey went 2 for 6, and Pat Boras threw him out, trying to steal second. He swiped 3 bases and a perfect 3 for 3 off of Ernie Witt, while going 3 for 3 at the plate. He came to Oakland hitting 247 with the Yankees, but in his first month back, he hit 365. 11-3 bombing of Cleveland on July 2nd, started with Rickey taking John Farrell deep in the top of the tree first. The Rickey special was 3 for 4 that day. Also, he scored 4 times without notching an official at-bat. After Randy Johnson walked him 4 times, Rickey thanked him for the free pass by stealing 5 bases. Rickey Henderson is the perfect addition for the A's. Offensive spark plug extraordinaire. Oakland is the perfect place for Henderson, his home, sweet home. When the A's traded for Rickey, they were in first place, but they only by 2 games. But they would win the division by 13. The Royals won 91 games, even at and got as close as a game and a half on September 1st. The A's closed the season by winning 11 of their final 14 games. But the second time in his career, Rickey was back in the playoffs. Rickey was closing the chapter on the first decade of his career on the same field where it all began, the same objective in sight. At just 30 years old, he was only 6'7" steals away from Rock's all-time record. Of 938 stolen bases. When Rickey was running through the league, leading the league in stolen bases and heading toward the playoffs, the legend of Oakland only stood taller. Rickey knew the lights were on. They were on a championship course. They were underdog stuff. Everyone was monument building. Stewart and Exley were renewed climbs to the top spots in the game. Olsen was being called the best second in the game. The A's were the model franchise, building from the draft, free agent market. None of that little brother golf from San Francisco. LaRusso was being called a genius and not a baseball guy, but a thinker. He was even being validated by the smart set. George Will, the Pulitzer Prize winning columnist, was hanging around the ballpark every day, working on a baseball book. Men at work. Rickey recognized Will from the morning talk shows. Never remember his name, but whenever he saw Will at the ballpark, he said, "Hey, it's a politics guy." As the A's clinched and the tour to avenge the loss to the Dodgers commenced, Rickey began referring to himself the same way Dave Stewart did. He now called himself the final piece to the puzzle. The Blue Jays were no patsies. They've been knocking on the door of the World Series for nearly 5 years and still couldn't get there. When they struggled during the season, they fired their manager Jimmy Williams and replaced him with Steve Gaston, former teammate Henry Aaron, Willie McCovey, and Dave Winfield, and only the third black manager in the game in history. Gaston, a quiet and serious Texan, was always underestimated as a leader for not flipping over the spread when things went sour. But who was he who transformed the Blue Jays from spiraling disappointment to division champs? The series opening in Oakland features the two underappreciated Warriors, Dave Steve of Toronto and Oakland A's Dave Stewart. Stewart trailed 3-1 early before the A's got to Steve, wore down Toronto for 7-3 win. Michael McGuire homered, Dave Henderson homered. Dave Stewart went 8 innings. But the story was Rickey. The story was Rickey because the box score didn't reveal much. He was 0 for 2 with a run score, but he was on base there 3 times. Stole 2 bases and made the play of the night. Bottom of the 6th, 3-3 game, 1 out. Runners on second and third with the run already in. Gaston brought in Jim Acker, who hit Rickey on the left wrist to load the bases. Acker appeared to avoid catastrophe. Lansford hit an easy double play ball to the short that would end the inning and keep the game tied. Except that Rickey blasted Toronto's second baseman, Nelson Lariano, with the takeout slide at second that sent Lariano reeling as he tried to leapfrog Rickey to avoid the collision. Lariano threw a throw, flew wide, and 2-run score. 2 innings later, up 2 runs, Rickey walked, stole second, forced a wild pitch that led to a short run in the 8th inning. That sorted away the ball game. Bob Costas and Tony Kubat were on the call for NBC as Rickey clapped while crossing home plate with the final run of the night. Kubat said to the nationwide audience, "Rickey still has a way of being in the middle of a lot of things, doesn't he?" Kubat, who played on 3 World Series title teams, the Yankees in the 50s and 60s, knew winning baseball when he saw it. When he saw was Rickey take a championship level team baseball plays with that supposedly weren't part of his resume without even having a hit on the night. So in the second game that Rickey took up permanent residence in the collective heads of the Blue Jays. In the 4th inning, the hot-headed Todd Stoudemire was up 1-0. As Rickey walked and stared at Stoudemire on his tired 90-foot trip to first, Stoudemire stared back where he's already cooked. His was the battle, but Henderson was the problem. Rickey Henderson was the problem. Stoudemire threw more pitches to first to start the at-bat than he did to home plate. Rickey stole second anyway. Rickey stared at Stoudemire from second. Stoudemire started his delivery. So Rickey took off, 5-ball. While swinging the pitch, Lampers had already given it away. Everyone knew Rickey was going. So what did Rickey do? He took off on Stoudemire's next pitch. And Rickey leaped into third. Kelly Blue with the Blue Jays third baseman kicked Rickey in the face. Rickey called for time through 2 fist pumps. The broadcast, of course, wasn't focused on the batter pitcher conversation. It was the central nervous system of baseball. It was focused on Rickey, who was arriving the 23-year-old Stoudemire on national television. Henderson, one of the game's premier players for a decade, but no postseason play in 81. You can tell how charged up for the series. Watch his reaction as he goes head first to third ahead of Gruber's tag. Now Stoudemire was stare at Rickey out there. And Rickey went for home too. But what he really wanted to do was punch Rickey in the face. All this time, Lance was still up. Distracted, Stoudemire threw his cookie that Lansford lit for an RBI single. There went the lead for Stoudemire and eventually the game. Instead of no against the rubber arm Lefty David was on the mound. Rickey was at it again. He walked, stole second easily, and then he slowed down a few steps before reaching the bag. Just walked to second. 2 pitches later, Rickey took off for third. Do you think, Costa said after Rickey swiped third again, that Rickey Henderson is under the spotlight? The A's won 16. They're up 2-1, 2-0 in the series. The 2 games, the 2 A's wins. 2 dominant performances by Rickey. Also, Rickey cleared the center field fence, then back wall just beyond the fence, and landed in the black covered seats, a quarter of the way the batter's eye. This would be a run home, maybe more. Mosby going back, look up, out of here into the back seats, the hitting background. There aren't many leadoff men who can launch one like that into the dead center. About 430-foot shot to nothing, 2-0 Oakland. Overall, the A's won the pennant for the 2nd straight year. Rickey was going to the World Series for the first time in his career. He was MVP unanimously of the American League Championship Series, hitting .400 and .609, batting at on-base percentage, slugging 1,000 in 5 games. Rickey was on base 14 times. He led the team in runs scored, which was 8, and walked 7, never struck out. It was one of the greatest postseason performances the game has seen. Before Canseco dropped his upper deck 500-footer, Costa and his color man Tony Kubek were devoting the rest of the 3rd inning commentary of Game 4 to Rickey and run out of words for what they were witnessing. Costa said Lou Brock had a couple of years with good power numbers in the 60s, I think. He hit 21 year with the Cardinals. He was stronger, especially in his prime, than people would have thought. But all things considered, Rickey has had several years of 18, 20 home runs. We saw where he hit that one. I can't think of many leadoff hitters who have combined power with anything his sort of speed. Is it even worth questioning the greatest leadoff hitter of all time? Kubek said, maybe in modern baseball, I don't know. I've never seen any better than him. That well-rounded in every area. High base percentage, high on base percentage, decent slugging percentage. Get you a quick lead with all the home runs and hits, leading all ball games, and gets into scoring position at will. It's a Rickey Henderson rally walk, still second, still third, sacrifice without a hit. You can get a run with Rickey. He's worth a run a game. I don't think there's any question. It's a fast, bitter series that planted seeds of a rivalry. As Ernie Witt couldn't stand Rickey, the style, the impunity, but he couldn't stand him either. He had to take it. Still Gaston believed that LaRussa, the A's bench, was still signs. He thought Eggleston was doctoring the ball. Gaston was a reserve competitor. His team had just been manhandled. So there was no value in firing at Oakland. Still, he thought the A's were cheaters. It wasn't just the winning, it was the way we won, said Dennis Exley. Jose hit that 500-foot home run. Rickey having everyone's blank, taking what he wants, going ridge, and then Cito checked my gloves. Come on, me, a half a woman. We didn't care. We were going to the World Series, see you blank. The A's had won the pennant. He was the MVP. There was nothing Toronto could do with him. Oakland would play the Giants in the series, and an international audience has seen what he could do. But before the first All-Bay Area World Series, Mike Luca brought out the sharp knives from New York to shank Rickey's bravura performance. The 1989 World Series between San Francisco Giants and the Oakland A's. This was like the earthquake World Series. 1989 World Series will always be remembered for the Loma Prieta earthquake that shook the bay at 5:04 p.m. right before 3:03 at Candlestick Park. Overall, this was a sweep by the Oakland A's. Oakland A's won the championship, so Rickey finally got a championship. Dave Stewart won the MVP award of the World Series. Rickey hit .474 in 4 games in the sweep, holding a moonshot to lead off the country against Don Robinson. Accompanied by a single with triple steal of third, he hit 9 for 19 for the series. 4 runs, 2 triples, a home run, a double, 3 stolen bases. Brett Butler was a fine leadoff hitter for the San Francisco Giants, though it could have been Rickey leading off for the Giants in the World Series against his former team, trying to beat his hometown. But Al Rose had wanted him to bat 5th. So Rickey was a champion. He was a playoff MVP, a World Series champion, the dominant postseason performer. He was at a supernova that laid the groundwork for the goal Rickey now always had in mind, to be the highest paid player in the sport. And also, let's try to talk about Billy Martin. Was dead at age 61. That was a drunk driving accident. He wasn't even driving. So that's basically it for that chapter. So I'll be in chapter 13 tomorrow. On chapter 13. Try to finish this book. Alright, so that's it for tonight's live feed. Thank those who tuned into Life and Spirit Study Bible that I did. We'll start the live feed, chapter 12, 13, 14, 15 in Isaiah. I'll be in chapter 16, 17, 18, 19 tomorrow. And I'll be in Rickey Henderson book, chapter 13. Rickey, the Life and Legend of an American Original. So that's it for today. Live feed. Thanks for tuning in. Those who've been on, do your best to subscribe and like the channel. We appreciate if you do. The Life and Legend of an American Original. I'll be in chapter 13. Reading that book. So that's it for tonight. Until then, talk to you tomorrow.